On behalf of Vivekananda Samiti, I once more welcome you all. This club under student Gymkhana since past 4 decades has been relentless in inspiring and motivating the youth community by spreading the message of Swami Vivekananda and Vedanta. Continuing with the same, we have gathered here to hear from Rashmi Bansal and Swami Atmashraddhanandaji about a very compelling subject, that of entrepreneurship. The idea of being an entrepreneur, starting a business, NGO or any other organization is quite pervasive among the youth of today. While they are driven by immense enthusiasm and energy, what comes following is the enormous responsibility related with it. As Swami Vivekananda always claimed that all power is within us, but what is necessary is be and make. To put in other words, passion, determination, self-reliance and independence must be indispensably accompanied with a sense of collective development and regenerative insight on a larger scale. Not to exaggerate, our country is in dire need of such holistic endeavor, and today we feel privileged to have persons who will throw searching light on the very idea of entrepreneurship and social responsibilities. To begin with, we have Swami Atmashraddhanandaji from Ramakrishna Math, Chennai. He has been the guide for Vivekananda Study Circle at IIT Madras for the past 9 years. Besides conducting Sunday classes for study circle every week, he also speaks at the Ramakrishna Math at Mylapore in Chennai on Upanishads and other allied subjects. Notably, he is the editor of Vedanta Kesari, a cultural and spiritual monthly of Ramakrishna Order for the past 100 years. Yesterday, we have Swamiji delivering his speech on the enormous power of mind and how to harness it for achieving higher goals in life. Today, we invite him once more to deliver his message on Swami Vivekananda's ideas on entrepreneurship and social responsibility. Please.
Rashmi Bansal ji, dear Shubhadeep and other friends, and all my young friends who have gathered here. Idea of a religious person is that he generally is not seen to articulate much about what's happening in the world around him. This is the general impression. But when you read Swami Vivekananda's teachings, his life, you find enormous shift or difference. Before I speak about what Swamiji said about these two aspects of entrepreneurship and social responsibility, let me quote a small incident that is mentioned in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. There was this young person who had come away from his house and he was staying with Sri Ramakrishna for some days. Then Sri Ramakrishna asked him to go away. Sri Ramakrishna was staying in the temple of Dakshineshwar, and he was attracting to him many people, and including Swami Vivekananda, who came little later. Later, Sri Ramakrishna was recounting why he asked that person to go away. He said, so and so had come to stay with me here, and I asked him, he was a married person, I asked him, what about your wife and children? He said, well, they will be taken care by the neighbors. Then Sri Ramakrishna got angry with him. He said, you have no sense, no sense of dignity, no sense of responsibility, that you should marry and your wife and children should be looked after by others. Go away from here. This has nothing to do with spirituality. This little incident gives an insight towards what is meant by developing a proper social responsibility. In Swami Vivekananda's life, we have number of incidents which illustrate Swamiji's tremendous enthusiasm that we should develop a proper responsibility towards ourselves as well as for others. Traditionally, we have in India believed in what is known as Abhyudaya and Nishreyasa. Abhyudaya means well-being at the material level. The word Abhyudaya means progress. And Shreyas or Nishreyas, it refers to spiritual development. Right at the beginning of his commentary to the Bhagavad Gita, Adi Shankara refers to these two words. He says, this book or religion in general is meant for both, for material prosperity as well as for spiritual growth. When Swami Vivekananda was in the West, once there was a very rich man who had some personal issues and he was in a great state of depression. Somebody introduced him to the name of Swami Vivekananda and he decided to pay a visit to Swamiji. Swami Vivekananda's biography describes the visit of that rich man in a very glowing way. When he reached the place where Swamiji was staying, there was this kind of a peon at the door who wanted to receive that man and take him inside, but he just brushes him aside in a fit of kind of arrogance and goes in and says, "Where is the Swami?" He is shown the way and he goes there. There Swamiji is sitting as if in a state of deep reflection. And Swamiji tells him, yes, and he comes there with his problems. He's not even spoken what he had to say when Swamiji tells him all that he had faced in life. And he tells him, this is not the way to live life. You must do something for others. Unless you do something for others, there will be no peace and joy in your life. The man felt that it was too much that he should be given advice and he walked off. But somehow, Swamiji's words entered into his heart. And next day he returned and again Swamiji was sitting in his study in a mood of reflection. He came and left a check on Swamiji's table and said, "Here Swami, be thankful that I have done my donation." To which Swamiji said, "No, you should be thankful to me that you are inspired to do this." This was the first public donation by John D. Rockefeller, the famous philanthropist whose Rockefeller Foundation is even today working. Swamiji inspired people in this way in many ways. Another incident is Swamiji's interaction with the J.R.D. Tata, Jamshedji Tata. When Swamiji was traveling to the West, both of them happened to meet in the ship and they held conversation. Tata was very impressed with Swamiji's ideas. Later, he wrote a letter to Swamiji saying that I would like to start an institute on the lines which you have suggested. Swamiji had suggested that we should have such an institute where study of science and study of the way things are done, how to improve life must be established. Such an institute should be established. And Tata wanted to start an institute and wanted to invite Swamiji to head that. Of course, Swamiji did not go there, but that letter which Tata wrote to Swamiji is very much preserved. And if you go to the Tata Steel industry and their main office, you find that letter being preserved there in a big laminated way. This way, Swamiji has given inspiration to people to take up this kind of work, what we are discussing there, entrepreneurship. In fact, they say this conversation between Swamiji and J.R.D. Tata led to what we call as the formation of Indian Institute of Sciences in Bangalore. That is the kind of institute which Swamiji wanted to have. So there is a lot of scope for us to look at Swamiji from this angle. Of course, Swamiji was a deeply spiritual person, but his spiritual growth or spirituality did not mean only personal salvation. He gave the motto before the Ramakrishna mission as Atmano Mokshartham Jagat Hitayacha. Atmano Mokshartham means for one's own salvation, for one's own spiritual growth, and Jagat Hitayacha, and for the good of others. In fact, this is not just Ramakrishna Mission's motto, this is the motto which anyone with a healthy viewpoint towards life, he wants to adopt and a motto, he can have it. This is the one message which Swamiji has given, Atmano Mokshartham Jagat Hitayacha. Again, in one place Swamiji says, I do not believe in a religion which cannot wipe out widows' tears or provide a morsel of food to the orphans and provides eternal bliss in the next world. I want that religion which can provide number of what we call as amenities right in this life. I shall read to you a small conversation with one of his disciples. Swamiji had a disciple by name Sharat Chandra Chakravarti, and Sharat Chandra's Chakravarti's conversation with Swamiji are a source of lot of insight into Swamiji's views and personality. You find this in the 7th volume of the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. Swamiji's complete works are there in 9 volumes. And the 7th volume you find this conversation. The disciple says, what shall I do then, Swamiji? Why? If you want to live the life of a worldly man and have a desire for earning money, then go over to America. I shall give you the directions for business. You will find that in 5 years you will get together a lot of money. So this is a direction to go to America which is given 100 years back, more than 100 years back. Disciple, what business shall I go in for and where am I to get the money from? Swamiji, what nonsense you are talking. Within you lies indomitable power. Only thinking, I am nothing, you have become powerless. Why? Why you alone? The whole race has become so. Go round the world once and you will find how vigorously the life current of other nations is flowing. And what are you doing? Even after learning so much, you go about the doors of others crying, give me employment, trampled on others' feet, doing slavery for others. Are you men anymore? You are not worth a pin's head. In this fertile land, see, he has such understanding of India. In this fertile country with abundant water supply, where nature produces wealth and harvests 1,000 times more than in others, you have no food for your stomach, no clothes to cover your body. In this country of abundance, the produce of which has been the cause of the spread of civilization in other countries, you are reduced to such straits. Your condition is even worse than that of a dog, and you glory in your Vedas and Vedanta. A nation that cannot provide for its simple food and clothing, which always depends on others for its subsistence. Where is there for it to want for? Throw your religious observances overboard for the present and be prepared first for the struggle for existence. People of foreign countries are turning out such golden results from the raw materials produced in your country, and you, like asses of burden, are only carrying their load. The people of foreign countries import Indian raw goods, manufacture various commodities by bringing their intelligence to bear upon them and become great, whereas you have locked up your intelligence, thrown away your inherited wealth to others, and roam about crying piteously for food. Further, the disciple said, "In what way, sir, can the means of subsistence be procured?" Swamiji, "Why? The means are in your hands. You blindfold your eyes and said, 'I am blind and I can see nothing.' Tear off the folds from your eyes and you will see the whole world lighted by the rays of the midday sun. If you cannot procure money, go to foreign countries, working your passage as a laskar. Take Indian cloths, towels, bamboo work and other indigenous products and peddle in the streets of Europe and America. You will find how greatly Indian products are appreciated in foreign markets even now. In America, I found some Mohammedans of the Hooghly district had grown rich by peddling Indian commodities in this way. Have you even less intelligence than they? Take, for example, such excellent fabrics as Varanasi made saris of India, the likes of which are not produced anywhere else in the world. Go to America with this cloth, have gowns made out of this fabric and sell them, and you will see how much you earn." Disciple, "Sir, why will they wear gowns made of saris of Varanasi? I have heard that the clothes designed diversely are not to the taste of the ladies of those countries." Swamiji, "Whether they will receive or not, I shall look to that. It is for you to exert yourself and go over there. I have many friends in that country to whom I shall introduce you. At first I shall request them to take this cloth up among themselves. Then you will find many will follow suit. And at last you won't be able to keep the supply to the enormous demand." What progressive thinking. All this is said sometimes in 1898 or 99. Further, Swamiji says, "This is what I say to you, my son, you have no Shraddha. Have faith in yourself. What will you achieve? You will have neither material nor spiritual advancement. Either put forth your energy in the way I have suggested and be successful in life, or give up all and take to the path we have chosen. Serve the people of all countries through spiritual instruction. Then only you will get your dole of food like us. If there is no mutual exchange, do you think anybody cares for anybody else? You observe in our case that because we give the householders some spiritual instructions, they in return give us some morsels of food. If you do nothing, why will they give you food? You observe so much misery in mere service and slavery of others. Still you are not waking up. And so your misery also is never at an end." This is certainly the delusive power of Maya. In the West, I have found that those who are in the employment of others have their seats fixed in the back rows in the parliament, while the front seats are reserved for those who have made themselves famous by self-exertion or education or intelligence. Again, disciple, he says, "But sir, all the educated men of the country have joined this kind of thinking." Swamiji replied, "Well, you consider a man as educated if only he can pass some examinations and deliver good lectures. The education which does not help the common mass of people to equip themselves for the struggle of life, which does not bring out the strength of character, a spirit of philanthropy, and the courage of a lion, is it worth the name? Yet real education is that which enables one to stand on one's own feet. The education that you are receiving now in schools and colleges is only making you a race of dyspeptics. You are working like machines merely and living a jellyfish life. The peasant, the shoemaker, the sweeper, and such other lower classes of India have much greater capacity for work and self-reliance than you. They have been silently working through long ages and producing the entire wealth of the land without a word of complaint. Very soon, they will get above you in position. Gradually, capital is drifting into their hands, and they are not so much troubled with the wants as you are. Modern education has changed your fashion, but new avenues of wealth lie yet undiscovered for want of inventive genius. You have so long oppressed these forbearing masses. Now is the time for their retribution, and you will become extinct in your vain search for employment, making it the be-all and end-all of your life." Unquote. If you look back at what I have read, you find what progressive thinking Swamiji had in terms of people taking up some initiative to do something new. For that we have more discussion later. All that I would say that Swamiji wanted people to develop two things. First, tremendous faith in oneself, that I can do something and take risk, take up something new and do it. And secondly, his intense feeling for others. He was one saint in the recent times who spoke so much about masses. He said, masses have been neglected and we must do something for them. All that we need to do is to give them their lost individuality, make them feel that they are also human beings, they also have power, they also have so much of potential. This is what the actual practical Vedanta is, that we see divinity present in all, which means there is tremendous potential present in all. This feeling for others was of almost a fathomless depth in Swamiji. He went to Mysore, he met the Raja of Mysore, and later he wrote some of the letters. In one of his letters, Swamiji wrote, "My young prince, my noble prince, this life, these vanities of this life are transient, but they alone live who live for others. The rest are more dead than alive." The more dead than alive. Again, Swamiji said, "So long as millions live in hunger and ignorance, I hold every man a traitor who, having been educated at their expense, pays not the least heed to them. I call those men who strut about in their finery, having got all their money by grinding the poor, wretches, so long as they do not do anything for those 200 millions who are now no better than hungry savages." This feeling for others, this intense compassion, sympathy, empathy for others is one hallmark of Swamiji. Why did he want that we should do to others? We need to offer help in various ways. Because he said that is the only way for our own self-growth. If you want to grow, you have to give something to others. And for this we have to go back to what the Upanishads call as the idea of yajna or exchange, not the traditional yajna which we are used and fire is burning and a ritual is happening, not that. But it's a concept which says that this world is like a river. We are all like rivers. We come back from a source. Now if a river has to continue its life, it must keep moving. If it does not move, if it becomes a pond, we know what happens to a pond. Because there is no movement of water, it becomes stinking, it becomes rotten. Likewise in our life, if we have to have lot of sense of freshness and sense of fulfillment, we have to give to others. Now he referred to so long as millions live in hunger and ignorance, I hold every man a traitor who having been educated the cost of others. Now the education that we receive in our institutions like this, not only here, elsewhere also, what do we find that? Do we pay back to the society what we get? See, our success, each one of us here has some certain degree of success. So this success has come to us from society. Suppose there was no society, where will be our success? We are part of a system, we are part of a larger entity. We have to give back something to that in order to pay back our moral responsibility. Now this has been accepted in some way. We have the CSR, the idea of giving something to the society, but very often it is nothing other than just a lip service. But Swamiji was very keen that we should have a feeling for others. I shall read a few more things to you because in these words lie the fire. he felt intensely that we must understand that we and others are same as far as the divine that is present in us. There are differences in terms of our entities, what we are as a human being. There are differences because the people have their education, their power, their status, but essentially there is something which underlies all of us, and that is very essential to remember. People think various ways about religion, but Swamiji said unselfishness is God. One can live on a throne in a golden palace and be perfectly unselfish, and then he is in God. Another may live in cave, in hut, and wear rags and have nothing in the world, yet if he is selfish, he is intensely merged in the world. And Swamiji was also aware of how there is economic side of religion. In his one of the very famous observations, he said, whenever any religion succeeds, it must have economic value. Thousands of similar sects will be struggling for power, but only those who meet the real economic problem will have it. Man is guided by the stomach. He walks and the stomach goes first and the head afterwards. Have you not seen that? It will take ages for the head to go first. When children's dreams begin to vanish and you begin to look at things the way they are, the head goes. Just then the head goes first, you go out, which means we are called back when we begin to think on those lines. So this is one thing which Swamiji repeatedly said, that we should look after both Abhyudaya and Nishresa. In this context, I may also refer to the idea of competence and character. We all need to develop competence. Now, in one of the meetings which I had the occasion to attend, one of the IIT professors told that almost only 20 to 25% of the engineers which come out of the engineering colleges these days, only 25% are actually employable as engineers. The others, they are not employable as engineers, so they take to all kinds of other jobs. Why should that happen? Because there is no emphasis on competence. Do we pay attention to that competence? Do we pay attention to that we have to develop an amount of excellence in whatever we are doing? Whether you are studying in a particular subject or doing something by hand, should we not develop competence in that? So there is a need for competence. When you speak of competence, it brings into picture concentration. It brings into picture that we should have confidence in oneself. Without concentration, without putting our whole mind into what we are doing and also having confidence in what we are doing, competence cannot come. Competence always comes through that. But then competence in itself is not sufficient. We should also have, along with it, the power of character. Now this is illustrated by a small incident, that there was this nurse who was well educated. She had a master's degree in nursing, and she was looking for a job, and one person wanted to employ her. They found that yes, she has all these characteristics which make her a good nurse, and she has a master's degree, she has so much of experience. But then they dig further and found that it is also a fact that she has been removed from many places for her negligence. Although she has some kind of competence, but she has been removed because of her negligence for not being caring to the children, which is a work which she has to do. The man refused to employ her. Now look at it. So even if you just have competence and know that if there is no character, life cannot be complete. Now what is character? According to Swamiji, character is nothing but a bundle of habits or impressions, or what we call samskaras. If this number of habits or impressions that we have is good, then we call it as a good character. If the number of these impressions is not good, we call it as bad character. It's just a bundle of habits, bundle of impressions. How do we get that? In whatever we do, in whichever way we think, in whichever way we interact with the world, we are actually allowing our character to get formed. Character is not formed just by reading some books or listening to some lectures. Character is formed by action. What kind of action you do? And action includes action at all levels. Action of what kind of thinking you have, action of what kind of words you use when you speak, and what kind of actions and reactions you have in your life, what kind of decisions you have. We have this capacity of making choices. We throughout make choice in our life. See, when you come to IIT, you have one kind of a choice, but it's not just filling up the form that I am speaking of. By choice is meant the conscious decisions that we make in our life in whatever way we are moving around. Suppose a dirty idea is offered to us. We have a choice to take it or not to take it. We have the capacity. In Sanskritam it is called kartum, akartum, anyatha kartum. I may do it, I may not do it, or I may do it differently. Character is a process that happens when we make this conscious choice. It does not just happen that we allow ourselves to go through life and things come to us and we just go on consuming them. We make a conscious attempt. We protest. We take right decisions. Suppose somebody here gives us idea that we are all negative, we are having no strength, we don't have any possibility, no potential. If I consume it, it's a kind of a choice that I have made. I have also a choice not to consume it and say, no, I have got strength, I have got power in me. And this is what is required today. More than ever, today we need this spirit of having faith in our potential. It should be further awakened. Already we have awakened in our country to a great measure. Today we find lot of prosperity. If Swamiji was to come here, let's say now we are celebrating 150th birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda. If he was physically around us, he would be very happy. I'll tell you why. Once a person came to Swamiji. He wanted some religious instruction. Swamiji said, can you lie? The man was horrified. He is asking for a religious instruction and Swamiji is asking him, can you lie? He said, no. Can you steal? No. Can you murder? He was completely taken off. What kind of questions? But Swamiji said, it would have been better for you if you had the power to do something. So people who are at that time, so much of, they were engrossed in what we call the quality of tamas, inertia. There was no sense of wanting something in life. Now that period has gone. We have come to a stage where more and more rajas. So there is a lot of greed in the society. Greed which results in corruption. Greed which results in all kinds of unwanted things. So a second stage has come. In the Gita we find the first stage is called the tamasic stage and second stage is called the rajasic stage. But even this is not highest stage, because if a person has lived enough at the rajasic stage, he begins to see that it is not sufficient. He has to go further to the sattvic stage where he has to develop a sense of serenity, calmness, a sense of introspection, a higher way of living. But that is to come only when a person passes through rajas or rajasic state. So people, now we have more money in the economy and people moving around with a lot of desires getting fulfilled. In a way it is very good. The Swamiji would have felt very happy that this change has come. The next stage will come, but we have to pass through this stage. There should be material prosperity. I don't know if I have much time to dwell on that, but I have heard some economists speaking. In 2000 years back, one of the earliest historian has said that India and China put together, they had their GDP as 52% contribution to the world GDP. In 1947, India's contribution was 1.4 to the world GDP. Now things may have slightly improved. The point is, India was not a land of we are lacking wealth. This philosophy which we have in the form of our religion, it was not given to living a life where there is no material growth, no prosperity, no affluence. In fact, people came in search of India. They said it is a land of knowledge as well as a land of material prosperity. So we had in 1028 Al-Biruni coming and searching to the land of knowledge, and since he did not know the local language, he learned Sanskritam, and in 5 years he understood, and he could make some progress in learning Sanskrit, and he learned many things, went back to the country, to the Persia from where he had come, and wrote several books. Kitab-e-Hind, he wrote several books where what he had learned in mathematics, in chemistry, in medical treatment, and which were published in the Arabic language. So this was a land where things happened. So Swamiji wanted that we should always develop a sense of self-confidence, determination, and also feel for others. These two aspects, these two only we need to discuss now. It's very nice that we have a symposium or this workshop on this, and we have some eminent speakers on this. I'm very happy that I could share a few thoughts with you. If you have any questions, you're welcome. Yes.
Somebody has to work under others. So, how would we think about that? Like, there has to be a leader and 20 people working under him.
Yes.
And there will be a lot of levels. So, there will be people working at the lowest level and people working at the top. How will we characterize this hierarchy? If there will be any hierarchy in the system. The second question, systems of, say, public utility, say schools. So, somebody has to take the responsibility to do different jobs there. Otherwise, for my home, I can take the responsibility of self-reliance. I would employ someone to do my daily chores. But what about systems of public utility, say schools?
Yes. So first of all, no one can occupy the. You can't have the hundreds of presidents for a country. You have to have some person who becomes the topmost in the hierarchy. So that is well accepted. That we have a system where somebody is leader. In fact, in one of his teachings, Swamiji says, some people do very well when they are leaders. There are others who do very well when they are led. They feel very comfortable with that. So let us keep this in mind. But just because a person is led, it does not mean that he is inferior. Because if there are no followers, there is no leader. So there has to be a certain amount of followers, and there is nothing wrong in that. When we say that there is a hierarchy and somebody is at the top, and we have to take orders from others, well, we are taking orders even otherwise, even if we are alone. We are taking orders from the nature. For example, we say now we are dependent on nature. If the air is removed from this place, we know what happens. So this interdependence is a fact of life. Let us accept that, let us understand it. Secondly, that somebody has to do the public utility. That is what we are meaning here, that let us do something for others. Now look at the type of public resting places which we have in the city, in the Kanpur. Do we have places where a person can feel very safe and very neat when he goes to relieve himself? Why can't there be a movement for that? Of course, Sulabh Shauchalya started that. Of course, there have been people who have made attempts. But have we come to that level of excellence that is required? So that is the purpose of meeting here, that we should try to focus what innovative things can be done. First of all, there should be intelligence, there should be intellectual discussion. But second, we should not stop at that. We should have feelings. There are so many reports which have been published by so many commissions and the government reports, but they are only intellectual exercises. We should have feeling. Can I do something? One of our senior Swamijis used to say, don't see the file, see the man behind the file. Suppose there is a government clerk and he has to deal with a file where he sees that this is a file, I have to provide water connection to a house. It's just a simple fact that he has to provide water connection. Then he said, just don't see, have a creative imagination. Suppose this water goes to that house. Now in the morning they go out to bring water. The family has to get ready for the day. The children have to go to school. So they have to have water. So they go to the public tap and bring, they stand in queue. How much time goes in that? So suppose there is water. So all they come to to the house, and all of them get ready for the day quickly, and so much time is saved which they can use for studies or something more creative. Just try to think from this angle. Don't see the file, see the family, the man behind it. So this is what is important. We should have heart. And third thing, we should have hands to work. Head, heart and hands. All the three are important. Hands by which something practical should be done. Something which will really make something to happen. So discussions and seminars are good. But something which will make that happen is also very important. Where are the hands? Do we have the skilled people to do that? People who are willing to spend time and energy to do that? That also you must keep in mind. Yes.
There's been greed and unemployment in the society these days. While you also mentioned that if Swamiji were alive today, he would have been happy. So why would he have been happy? I mean, the current situation in which the masses are not happy at all. I mean, what the projection is. So why and large you feel that Swamiji would have been happy of today's scenario?
He would not have been happy that things are bad. He would have been happy in comparison with what it was 100 years back. But he was also what we believe is a Yuga Drashta. So he could see also what will happen 100 years later. Then he will take this to be a state which is a passing state. Because people protest, they say we don't want this kind of things around us. See, we all know we are we are passing through an era which is full of scams and corruptions. So people are not happy about it. No one is happy. But do we have strength to say no to paying bribe? We say it's how thoda hai, chal jayega, koi baat nahi. But from there only problem starts. But if I can stand apart and say I will not give, what it lead to? Actually it is all greed which is manifesting. So which means the study of mind, the study of the self is very important. Why are we greedy? Why do we need so much things to make ourselves happy? Does it really make us happy? Let us ask this question. It is not to make everybody a monk, but to make a person a healthy human being. A healthy human being is one who has got faith in oneself. You know Shakespeare's famous statement where he said, comparison and expectation is the cause of most of our miseries. The person is sitting, just then somebody goes on a motorbike before him. He was very happy. Just then he sees motorbike, says I should also have, but I don't have right now. So one abhava or one deficiency is created in his mind, and from there it starts. Is it wrong to have a motorbike? No, it's not the question of right and wrong here. What we are saying is, when it comes to happiness, let us try to understand what is happiness. Please try to do something for others. We have this young man who came to our ashrama one of these days, and he was very upset. So he had some personal issue, and he was very depressed. So he met one of our Swamijis, and for no reason he sat there and started weeping. Then Swamiji tried to pacify him, and then now in that state it's not advisable to give too many advices. So he just kept quiet. He just asked him, have you read any of Swami Vivekananda's books? That young man replied, yes, I have read. Do you remember anything? He said, yes. Swamiji said, feel for others, and started weeping. This is not what Swamiji said, that you have self-pity. Feel for others, not for yourself. Feel that others are suffering. Feel that you are not able to do something for them. That feeling is important, not for yourself, that I am suffering this way, I am having this problem. Please feel for others. In fact, in one of the incidents, there was a young man who came to Swamiji, and he said, I have no peace of mind. I have tried all kinds of things. I have tried meditation, I have tried going to holy people, I have tried all kinds of things, but I don't have peace of mind. To which Swamiji said, my son, if you listen to my advice, please open all the doors and windows of your house and see with your open eyes the people around you. See how they are suffering. See how much need they are having. Go and do something for them. Then you will get real peace of mind. So this stage also will come. Now it is, see, we are seeing from one point of the history, but if we look at a larger state, it is bound to come, because man essentially is divine and he is trying to struggle to manifest that divinity within at different levels. In Swamiji's words, man does not travel from error to truth, but from truth to truth, from lower truth to higher truths. So we are traveling. Sometimes we have the lower truth and we think that is the only truth, but then we are traveling, we will definitely get the higher truth also.
Sir, you said that we should have confidence on ourselves, we should have self-confidence. But if we want to do anything, it must be supported with some threshold capability. So, how to ensure that what I am dreaming of, what I am confident about, have I that threshold capability, or is it something that everyone has capability of doing anything what he wants to? What is that exactly about, and how to decide that whether I am confident about myself or whether I am overconfident about myself? Because if that line is not clear, it may lead to.
The second part of the question first. To say that I am confident and I am overconfident, what differentiates? When you are overconfident, very often you feel that I alone can do it, nobody else can do it. Whereas when you have confidence, he says, yes, I have got capacity, I will try. See, everybody has got faith. The point is, in what do you have faith? Some people say, I don't have any faith. Look, you are sitting here, don't you have faith that this roof will not collapse on you? You have faith. You have faith that this floor will not give away. So without faith, there is no life. Faith is the very fabric of life. In fact, a person is running out of faith means quite possible that he has to be put into mental asylum. It is the first sign of a person losing his mental capabilities when he becomes very paranoid. He is always afraid, somebody is watching me, somebody is doing something. Have faith, let him watch. He is free to watch, I am myself. Have faith. So this is first thing, that I must have confidence or power of faith which I have, I must put on myself. In one of his writings, Swamiji said, look at the English people. Somebody gets up and says, I am an English boy, I can do it. Will anybody in India say that? I am an Indian, I will do it. Oh, I am an Indian, let me see. Why should that feeling be there? That one Swamiji said repeatedly. And to the first thing, whether I have the capacity to do something which I say I have faith. See, even if you don't have the capacity at the moment, that faith will bring out that capacity.
So there's a potential capability of everything
in everyone, but it's also a certain amount of swadharma and temperament which is also to be taken into account. Some people are naturally drawn towards, let's say, business. Some people are naturally drawn towards studies. They want to be scholars. Some people want to be naturally drawn towards fighting on the battlefield. Why this happens? Because it is their inborn in this position. They want to be going towards that. So have faith that I can do something. What you are, you will discover by little what we call trial and error. This is what I need. Maybe I wanted this, but no, it's not the right thing to do it. But let us be very decisive. You know, some people are there who are crossing the road. In the middle they stop. They say, should I go this way or should I cross? You will be run over. Better run this way or that way, or stand this side. But better don't stand in the middle of the road. So we have the capacity within us. This exploring the capacities within us is a very profound subject. We come across such instances in the history where a person was looking to be very ordinary, lacking all the capacities which we thought later he manifested, we never thought that he had. But through faith, he develops it. And Swamiji says the history of the world is the history of a few men who had faith in themselves. So have that idea very clear in mind, whether you have the threshold capacities or not. That also will become clear to you, but never lose faith in yourself. That is very important.
We have last couple of questions.
I want to ask one that the Indian culture was at prime in ancient times. Okay, but it's so declined somewhere in between. And what are the reasons for it? And are we back on the right path?
We have a lot of history behind it, at least 1000 years of history. I'm not going into that because I'm not a historian. Whatever little I have read, what I understand is that was a time when a lot of political upheaval took place. And according to Swamiji, and Swamiji was a great student of history, he said the main thing is when India started separating itself from others and started saying that others are bad and we are good, that everything else is bad. Swamiji said the fate of India was doomed when we discovered the word Malecha, that they are bad people. Malecha means bad there. Whereas if we had that capacity to grasp from others, learn from others, things would have been very better. History has had many things which has happened in our last 1000 years, 1500 years. But should we say that nothing is there in our country, that we are all bereft of all heritage whatsoever? That would not be fair to our history. You have had the lectures by Michel Danino from Coimbatore. I'm told he had come here some times back. Now he is a French gentleman who has devoted himself to the study of India's heritage. Then Michel Danino has brought out a series of books which he calls as Ancient Knowledge Systems. It's available on the net, you can download that. Maybe one of our study Samiti people can help in giving the link. So he speaks of the heritage that we had in terms of politics, in terms of architecture, in terms of medicine, in terms of mathematics. See, mathematics also we have contributed a lot. It's not that we have everything. We don't have many things. We have to learn from others, but we also have something. Let us have faith in ourselves. We have something to offer. There was this person from India who went to Germany, and in Germany he was to take a cab and go somewhere. This I read in Times of India a few months back. And as he was getting into the cab, the driver asked him, "Sir, are you from India?" He said, "Yes." "Do you know Sanskrit?" He said, "I was put in great trouble because I have studied in my till class 10 Sanskrit, but that is only for passing." So tick mark objective type questions he had solved, a few nama and rupas he knew, but he cannot say that I know Sanskrit. So he told this much only little Sanskrit I know. The cab driver asked him, "Is it so? Anyway, whatever, your country, sir, has done great work. It has offered to the world the Vedanta, the Upanishads. We are ever grateful to India for that." Imagine this, a cab driver in Germany telling to a stranger that we are grateful to you for the Upanishads and for the Vedanta which has come through the gift of Sanskrit. Do we have faith? People say, "Oh no, there is nothing in Vedanta and Upanishads." Have you read? Have you made a study? Please ask yourself. Let us be honest in our intellectual criticism also. Let us be very honest first. Have you read the Upanishads? You know what the Upanishad is? Is it the name of a sweet meat? Or is it the name of a book? Or is it the name of something deeper? The Acharya Shankaracharya, he says the word Upanishad means that knowledge which destroys ignorance forever. In his introduction to the Kathopanishad, he mentions this. So let us study ourselves first. If you find those things are too tough, you read Swami Vivekananda's work. Swamiji said, "I have never quoted anything except the Upanishads." And Upanishads speak of what? They speak of the divinity of man, irrespective of our station in life, whether gender or qualifications. None of these things are taken into account. Only one thing is taken into account, that you are a human being. and you have got divinity in you. Let us, this great doctrine that there is divinity in us, or what you call as potential. Swamiji said, each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity by controlling nature, internal and external. Do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy, by one or two or all of these, and be free. Temples, dogmas, churches, rituals, they are all but secondary details. Primary thing is manifesting the divinity within. If that is forgotten, then religion loses its meaning, spirituality loses its meaning. So let us keep this simple statement that each soul is potentially divine very much clear in our mind.
I see a lot of hands coming. I'll just take one more question. The rest of the questions Swamiji can answer after. One last question.
Swamiji, many people, many travelers and many writers have mentioned that true happiness comes when you are satisfied with your life and when there is no desire, that is true happiness. But from what you state, it is implied that society is not progressive when everyone is satisfied with themselves because there is no progress. So, do you think that the happiness that we get out of serenity, out of the calmness that we get, is it different from the material happiness? And how do we get a balance between these two?
Actually, happiness is only one. Whether it is from outside or whether it is come from inside, when we say happiness, it always involves mind. Without mind, there is no happiness. Of course, there is a happiness which comes to us through material progress, and it is given a due place in Indian tradition. Otherwise, we should not have had such opulence in our country in past. So there is a place for opulence, there is a place for material growth, but then they were not satisfied with this. They went on analyzing the very idea of happiness. So they went deeper and deeper. You speak of a person who is very serene, he is very happy. Most of the people who say they are very serene, actually they are not very serene, they are very lazy. They don't want to take any initiative further. So they call it laziness. It's like the laziness of a buffalo or calmness of a buffalo. It looks very saintly. But that's not the type of saintliness we want. So these are the three stages, you see. We go through, as I referred to, tamas, rajas and sattva. The extremes look alike. Now sattva is a state of serenity. And rajas, tamas is also a state of so-called serenity. But actually it's not serenity. It's also calm. See, it is full of desire. The tamasic person is full of desire, but is too lazy to fulfill them. So it is better that he fulfills them. He becomes rajasic. Then he will burn his hand. In fact, there is a verse in the Bhagavad Gita which says that only after you have experienced fulfillment of your desire, that the desire for higher life will arise. It says, Bahunam janmante jnanavan mam prapadyante. After the end of many janmas, a man of knowledge, he discovers that God, I have to take refuge. Now by janmas is meant experiences. Vasudeva iti sarvam sa mahatma sa durlabha. He is a mahatma and he is a very, very durlabha. Durlabha means it's very rare to find a person who has attained that amount of serenity. So the best thing, the ideal combination in life is to take up what we have in our mind. We fill ourselves with the courage, with the determination. At the same time, hold on to higher values. In his famous statement, Swamiji said, unselfishness is more paying, but people don't have patience to practice it. If you take this idea of unselfishness as more paying, what it means in practical terms, suppose you try to practice unselfishness in the form of giving a quality product. We have, I am coming from Chennai and we have our mud there. We have some printing presses there. Some of these printing presses are very old, 30, 40, and they are all second hand. And these have been brought from Germany, from Heidelberg company, And many of the parts of the machine are actually made of gold, minor gold, not a big part, a small part. And some portions there will be some kind of diamond also used. Even after so many years of use, the printing press is in very good shape. Do we have that quality? Do we produce that kind of standard? That's a form of practice of unselfishness at a different level. One is unselfishness of a retiring monk. Another is an active unselfishness in our day-to-day life. Provide better things. Provide things with greater quality and standard without trying to cut down the standard. Charge for it whatever it comes to you. That is also to be kept in mind, that we should bring unselfishness on one side and determination, higher values and courage and wanting to do something special in life, that both must be combined. That is what Swamiji meant. So with this we